Welcome to the ONS podcast with your host, Linnea Jacobson.
Good morning or afternoon. It's the ONS podcast brought to you by our partners at Face to Face Academy. For those who are tuning in for the first time, ONS stands for Office of Neighborhood Safety. I'm your host, Linnea Jacobson, and I'm part of the ONS team. This podcast was created for departments like ours and community organizations to connect you on alternative public safety measures, programs, and your local growth and healing opportunities. ONS audience, today we have our City Attorney's Office Criminal Justice Unit here with us to talk about the gun diversion program that falls under the ETHOS programming. ETHOS stands for Engaging Community, Taking Responsibility, Healing, Overcoming Obstacles, Sustainable Solutions. The gun diversion is a fairly new project that these two ladies worked really hard to put together. It was specifically designed to assist first-time, low-risk individuals have a second chance through rehabilitation and giving back to the community. Please help me welcome Jonica Carr. Jonica, take 30 seconds and tell us about yourself.
Hi, and thank you for having me. My name is Jonica, and I am a prosecutor with the City Attorney's Office. My main role is currently treatment court prosecutor. I also am one of the lead attorneys on our gun diversion program. I have been with the office for over 6 years now.
Okay, wow, that's impressive. And for those of you, obviously you guys can't see her, Jonica looks like a baby. So congratulations. like you're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good either way, right?
Thank you.
You're either looking really good or really young, accomplishing a lot. So compliment either way. I got some icebreaker questions for you. Okay, domestic vacation or international?
International.
Okay, and where are you going?
Italy.
Italy. Okay. Pasta. Are you a pasta fan?
I love pasta.
I love pasta.
And wine.
And wine. Girl, yeah, tell me about it. And in Italy, I heard you can eat it without your stomach hurting. On the plane, are you a aisle, middle, or window seater?
Window.
Okay. Third question. Collard greens, cabbage, or sautéed spinach?
Sautéed spinach.
And what are you gonna pair it with?
With bacon in it.
Ooh. But what's your other side?
Steak.
Okay, go ahead. Next to Jonica, we have Tamara Larson. Tamara, take 30 seconds and tell us about yourself.
All right, thank you. My name is Tammy Larson. I am one of the supervising attorneys in the City Attorney's Office Criminal Division. I coordinate our Community Justice Unit. I have been with the office for about 15 years. Prior to that, I did domestic and sexual violence work for many years before going to law school when I was 40. So,
thank you. What area are you from?
I'm originally from Little Falls, Minnesota, which is in the middle of the state. Mm-hmm. I lived in Winona for quite a while and did domestic and sexual violence work there, then back to the cities.
Awesome. And Tammy looks good too, you guys.
Not like a baby, I'm hearing.
I'm so sorry.
Wait, what?
Okay, I got some icebreaker questions for you too. Blue jeans or joggers?
Joggers.
Okay. So here's the scenario. You're at a barbecue and you don't know who made the potato salad. Are you going to eat it?
Oh. Depends on who else is at the barbecue.
That's how you can tell who made it, right?
Yep.
Okay, next question. If I go into your car and turn it on, what's going to come through your speakers?
I'm really boring, so it's going to be NPR.
Oh, I know. I was just listening to CNN on the way over here. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, a lot. But you got to keep up, right?
That's right.
Okay, let's jump into these questions. So now in my introduction, I gave the audience what the acronyms for ETHOS stands for, but can you tell them more about what ETHOS is? Either one of you can go.
So ETHOS is a specific program that we have that we developed out of the City Attorney's Office. It's been going over 5 years now. It's based in restorative justice. So we worked with the Dispute Resolution Center, which is a community-based organization, and they specialize in restorative justice and those kinds of practices. And they really helped us develop a program that was going to be restorative and what that means. So we created this to deal with a lot of our lower level offenses with folks who didn't have a long criminal history, but who could benefit from restorative work. And We work with community members. We have community circle keepers and circle members who come together with the participant, victim, if they're also interested, and they talk through the harm that's been done, both to the community, to a victim if there is one, and to the participant. So they can really explore what their conduct has gotten them to, but it's also really healing. It's a community surrounding them saying, hey, we've got you. Let's talk through why this happened. Let's figure out how you're going to heal, not only yourself, but the community. And they come up on that in that circle with an agreement for what the person's going to do. When they have successfully completed that, then we work with them we dismiss the case, and we actually go into a stipulated expungement, which means the prosecutor says, we agree to expungement of this case, and it takes it through the system a lot faster. So once it hits that circle, we leave it to the community, and they work together to come up with some answers for what can happen. It's been so successful that we've expanded it, and we're now doing it with more charges and people with some criminal history. Just one kind of success of it, we point to things like recidivism, because that's a nice hard statistic. Comparing similar cases in our office from the 6 months prior to the program, recidivism was at about 35%. With ETHOS, after a year of completing the program, those who have completed that long or longer, it's at 7%.
Wow.
So really successful, and more importantly, the participants say to us that it's been respectful, that they weren't treated like a criminal, that they were able to kind of take ownership of what happened, but also understand how much their community was with them in it. And it's just been really powerful. So I'm excited about how that has led into some of the gun diversion work.
Amen, which is a good segue, because my next question was, why a gun diversion program?
Well, it's a lot of things. Of course, we've seen the success of some of the work in ETHOS. We know that alternative forms of prosecution can be really successful. And there's plenty of research around diversion and those kinds of things around the country. What we know is that there are a lot of people who get caught up in gun cases who are at a place where it just doesn't really make sense to send them through the system, get a conviction, not really intervene in a way that gives them any resources or support, just here you go. You're on probation, get a conviction, and you're on a path. It's hard to get a job or housing if you've got a gun conviction.
Okay.
We're talking about a spectrum of stuff here. Gun violence is serious, obviously, and it's something that I think in the city we're trying to address in a whole lot of different ways. What we're talking about with these cases, it's gross misdemeanors, typically carrying a gun without a permit or those kinds of charges. These are folks who haven't drawn the gun yet. It's often young men, and they carry it for a variety of reasons. It could be that they're just fearful. It could be, their brother had it and they got one too, whatever. And they get pulled over for a traffic violation, and there's a gun in the console, and their life has changed, right? So that's what this is. And actually, the St. Paul Police Department Gang and Gun Unit approached us and said, hey, we're seeing this, and it just doesn't seem right to only have the one option, that we go through the court system. And so we worked really closely with them to come up with something that was more than that gave people some opportunities, that helped them get some resources, get some support, find some ways to engage with their community and make some different decisions that can lead to something that, they don't have that on their record.
Right.
And they have a different kind of future without all those collateral consequences.
Positive outcomes. What drew you to this type of work? Jonica, why don't you start?
Yeah, I can go. My work prior to coming to the St. Paul City Attorney's Office was mostly in civil rights. I worked for the City of Minneapolis in the civil rights area, and then I worked for the Department of Transportation in the civil rights area, and I felt I wanted to do a bit more in a space that I felt like I could do more in. And to me, a city attorney's office, or specifically prosecution, kind of the gatekeepers, right, to the justice system. And with where my passions lie and with what I want to do with the education that I have is help individuals get over these hurdles in their life. and really have that power to be able to use the tools that I was fortunate enough to get to help these individuals. And so that's what drew me to prosecution. I started in the domestic violence unit. I worked at a shelter for a bit in law school as well. And so I really got that fix and that fill in helping victims of domestic violence. And I segued into the community justice unit to work on another area, a passion area of mine, which is alternatives to traditional prosecution. So stuff like gun diversion, regular diversion, restorative justice. And so that's what really got me interested in this work. And I wanted to piggyback quickly off something Tammy was talking about, and as it relates to our gun diversion program, the why and why it's necessary for our office to have something like this is that we know traditional prosecution sanctions, which include conviction, possible incarceration, that could have a whole bunch of collateral consequences to these mostly young male individuals who are picking up these low-level, nonviolent, mostly gun possession charges, right? And that may lead to continued involvement in our justice system, which is what this program is aiming to intersect. We're aiming to intersect at that point so it doesn't get to those levels, felony levels, or they're actually firing the gun, right? Where it wouldn't be in our office anymore. And so this program's success really relies on the premise that we can help these individuals while they're at this place in their life and provide that rehabilitative approach to help reduce gun possession crimes in our community.
So even though it becomes a charge, you guys are working sort of on the side of preventative measures.
Yeah.
Because you're preventing a bigger problem. But did I say that right? Is it a charge? No? Or?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And the language can get a little term of arty.
Okay.
So essentially what this program does is it stays prosecution for a period.
Okay.
So essentially it's like the criminal case is paused.
Okay.
And while it's paused, that's when we really get to work, right, with these individuals. And they have to do a lot of programming and work with the community on healing and participate in very tailored and specific things to their needs and to what we've identified as risk areas in their life. If they do those things successfully for a certain amount of time, the case is dismissed. So there is no conviction for this gun charge on their record. And so they're charged, but they're not convicted. And there's no jail time either.
Okay.
So it's a huge, I think, opportunity for these individuals to get back to their community, right, in the circles that they're doing and with who they're doing them with, and to hopefully know that that mistake won't affect their futures.
You guys, this is good stuff. People don't know about this. That's why I'm really, really glad you're on this show. So I know, Tammy, you answered a little bit of this, but what year specifically did you guys launch the gun diversions portion of this, and what type of planning went into this?
We really started most of the work in early 2021. There has been a ton of planning, and we've started slow. We wanted to make sure that we were setting people up for success, that we were doing something that was really going to matter, that it would make sense to send people into this programming because it worked. We wanted to make sure we were identifying the right people for it so that, again, setting people up for success. A big part of what our unit does, and I think it's true to the values of the office overall, is identify a spectrum of responses to this stuff. And for all crime, for so long, the criminal legal system has had one answer. We punish you. We punish with jail time or probation or convictions or fines or whatever, but we punish. That's how we respond. And we're trying to do that differently because punishment, there's a place for it. But so often it doesn't work. And so that's the point, right? We're trying to create a safer community. We're trying to support all members of our community. There's been disparity in this system for far too long. And if we're focusing on that, if we're looking at things through that lens, we're going to do things in a different way. We know convictions have hurt certain parts of our community more than others. And that's not the point, right? If we truly are servants to our public, and we are public servants, that's what this work is, then we have to serve all of our public, and we have to work with our community instead of kind of in opposition to it so often. And so that was kind of the thinking in the early part of this process. We did work very closely with the St. Paul Police Department. In part, they have information we don't. And so as we're identifying people, we're looking at paper. We're looking at police reports. We're looking at information that doesn't have the full context of people's lives in it, of course. The police don't always have that either, but they often know a lot more than we do about someone's family or their circumstances or how they were that day or, what was going on for them that they saw on the street with someone. All of that is important. They may also know if someone is currently working with the Office of Neighborhood Safety. We've got a whole range of services now that didn't exist 5-6 years ago. And the police are often involved with a lot of that work with you all. So it's important to have context. And so we worked with them. We set up a lot of guidelines on how we were going to approach this. All of that took time. We spent some time working with the University of Chicago and Yale University, who were both focused on gun violence and doing work around this. And so they helped us out a lot. We had experts from around the country. It's been quite a process. And the Dispute Resolution Center has helped a lot because ETHOS is a component of this programming. So yeah, it's been a lengthy process. We started slow. We tried it out with some folks. We have been slowly building it since probably mid to late 2021 with actual cases going through. And we've gone through some different iterations in the meantime, but we're really happy with where it is now. We continue to work with community to kind of help guide what we're doing and what's going to be most effective.
I'm going to throw a question here that I didn't pre-plan for, but you guys are so good. You've almost answered all of my questions without me asking them. But can you talk more about the rehabilitation and healing piece? Because, do you guys have testimonies or anything you can say that you've witnessed that's been really, really awesome?
Well, I'll speak to the rehabilitation piece. And so the work and programming that a participant is required to complete in this program is based in a cognitive behavioral therapy approach.
Okay.
And so it's really helping these participants identify and get insight into their negative behaviors and choices and figuring out ways in which to change them or make them more positive.
Yeah,
right?
I like that.
Yeah. And so our goal is to provide wraparound services to these participants. So that comprehensive and personal tailored programming to address the needs that they have. So what they do is we try to get them right away when they enter the system. And so that typically in the criminal justice world is at the first appearance or arraignment. And so our team has already screened this case and identified it or not as a good case to be a part of this program. We've reached out to St. Paul Police to see, like Tammy said, if they have any other information they wanted to provide and what their thoughts are in putting these individuals in the program. And if we approve, we extend it to them at their first appearance or no later than their second appearance. If they accept, then what happens is after speaking to Tanya, who is our wonderful paralegal who wasn't able to make it today, they take a risk and needs assessment with Justice Point, who is a partner to us in this work. They're our pretrial partner. And so that assessment will identify those specific needs, whether it's a chemical health assessment and abstaining from maybe the drinking or whatever it may be. And then they sit in our ETHOS restorative justice circles and come up with those agreements to address the harm that they did to the community. They speak to community members. They talk about healing and trauma and how that might have played a role in this gun charge. And we do try to tailor circles to them as well. And that's newer to our program. And so as we've learned and as we've evolved, we're right, kind of changing the way we do things too. And so we're having more focused circles for participants.
Yeah.
And so we really have that individualized piece, and then we have that community piece with the circles. And so far, what we've heard, and maybe Tanya could speak to this piece more. She really has that one-on-one connection to the participants. We have heard great success stories from them, right?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Part of Circle is often a reflection letter, or people have done artwork or poetry or something that's meaningful to them. Mm-hmm. And the reflections are just so powerful. They talk about, people have said things like, I feel like I wasn't treated like a thug, mm-hmm. or I was surprised by how much my community cared. They, were respectful. It was a positive experience. They got me thinking. A lot of people don't even know what's available in their community. Right. And we have a lot in St. Paul that can really help people out. And, so thinking about things in a new way, or how they affected their family or friends or that kind of thing. We've had people talk about how it affected their family, and they've written an apology letter to, wrote an apology letter to their mother. There's just so many ways to heal and to rebuild and to think differently. And this does put that opportunity in front of people. Mm-hmm. It's up to them to decide whether they're going to, grasp that. But so far, so many of them really have. And I think you get charged with a crime like this, and you have a whole lot of expectations about what it's going to look like. Yeah. And many people express surprise because it doesn't look like that. It's community surrounding them with support and accountability, but support.
I feel like, too, a lot of people, when something like this happens to an individual, people just see a criminal. I feel like this sort of work is allowing people to really be seen for who they are, mm-hmm. and get to the core root of what led to that decision. And I think a lot of people don't understand that wraparound services and just conversations and listening sessions and different things like that is what allows people to make different decisions and be heard and receive the things that they need to receive, so that they don't have to do things that they did before. You know what I mean? And so it's a huge ordeal that I think is not talked about enough. I think here in St. Paul, we do a really good job implementing wraparound services and community outreach and conversations and different things like that, but it's not everywhere. We're lucky to have this. We're really, really lucky to have this. What are the benefits to having this as a part of the city attorney's office? Because in a lot of different cities around the country, they have different organizations and nonprofits that kind of do the same work, but we have it in our city attorney's office, and that's unique. Mm-hmm. So what are the benefits, do you think, having this in our city attorney's office?
Prosecutors have a ton of power, mm-hmm. and so that is certainly part of it. We are a big part of the criminal legal system in our community, and it's one of the reasons I think we both do this work, because that's also where you can make change and affect people's lives in a really positive way. The reality is people get charged with these crimes all the time. Yeah. And so it's going to hit the system. Yeah. And having a program like this within the city attorney's office means it's connected to what's happening in court. We have a role to play. The consequences of a misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor conviction are huge. Yeah. I don't think people always kind of fully understand mm-hmm. what role that can play. We think felonies, you're convicted of murder, of course that's going to be a thing. Mm-hmm. And it's important, of course, but you can be convicted of a misdemeanor theft and it affects the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And throw in a gun charge or something, and that's a big deal. So this kind of gives us the opportunity within our office to make the criminal legal system a little bit kind of better place Amen. For the people in our community. And that's huge. It also, the city attorney's office has, ONS is within that office. We've got civil attorneys who represent our entire city, the police department, fire, parks, libraries, all of that are connected to the city attorney's office. Our litigation team is part of it, so they're in the mix. And it's one of the reasons our program is connected to parks. A lot of our circles are happening there, and a lot of our work with gun diversion classes and things are happening in park and rec centers. We've got circles happening in libraries. We've got, it's the city is doing this work, and you know that that is the thing about what we're doing in St. Paul.
We are hands-on.
Yep, exactly. And we care about our community.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
And to your point of not a lot of offices, particularly attorneys' offices do this work, that's very true. We did take a lot of notes from the city of Minneapolis, who had their gun diversion program a couple years before we did. However, nationally, we're a very small subset of offices that have something like a gun diversion program, and I think that has drawn national attention to our program, where we are working with universities like the University of Chicago and Yale, and they want to come and see what we're doing and model that so that they can speak to it more nationally, hoping that more offices will pick up on what we're doing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. What are your goals in doing this work for the city of St. Paul? Jonica, you want to start?
Yeah, obviously to get guns off of the street,
yes,
and to educate individuals on how to carry legally. And that is a piece of this program too, that I don't think we touched on. There is that education piece as well in all of this work they're doing with our partners on how you can legally carry a firearm. But I think bigger than that too is really getting to the root of the problem that you kind of touched on earlier, Linnea. Getting to the root of the problem of what led them to this charge and helping them in that space so that we don't see them again. And so that's a huge goal for me in this work, is getting them there and hoping that they don't come back because of all of the programs and support that we've thrown at them throughout the time they're with us.
Tammy, what are your goals in doing this work for St. Paul?
It is, of course, public safety is huge. That is one of our primary reasons for existing, is to try and create public safety, and getting guns off the streets, helping people who are going to have a gun legally to do that responsibly is part of it. But it's also our community there are so many people struggling with so many different things. And as a system, we so often have responded, some of it because of just the volume of it all, with kind of a cookie cutter.
Yep.
We see the thing, well, how many priors do you have? And well, that means you get 30 days in jail or whatever. And we see thousands of cases a year. It's not easy to individualize that, but that's the goal a little bit. We want to create public safety not only by intervening in a different way in some of these cases and responding differently, but also creating some trust and earning trust from our community, becoming a legitimate resource for people that everyone in our community can trust, that if you come into our court system, you're going to be treated fairly. You're going to be treated with, justice is kind of like this big word, but justice needs to mean something to everybody who comes through our doors. And that's my big kind of goal in the sky, is let's create that. Let's be a resource for people that creates safety, that listens to our community, that has earned your trust, and that is something that people can believe in as part of our democracy.
Amen. You guys, I've worked in public safety administration for a lot of years. I won't tell because I don't want to age myself, but I lost track of how many people that I've witnessed to be really, really good people and to just make that one mistake, or, you know what I mean, with having a gun on them and it's either not registered or they've been drinking or just something like that. And they're it's like their first offense, and it's just destroyed their lives. So this means this means a lot to me, especially for our young men, because it seems like it's more often them. The City of St. Paul is working to rehabilitate, intervene, and provide safer neighborhoods. If you'd like to learn more about the City Attorney's Office ETHOS programs, just go to stpaul.gov, click on Government, choose the City Attorney Office. Under Departments, scroll down and click Criminal Division, choose ETHOS. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
If you'd like to be more involved in community government, assisting in advisory and recommendations on policies and proposed alternative public safety projects, the Neighborhood Safety Community Council is now accepting applications through August. Please visit us at stpaul.gov/ONS.